You did.
Anyway.
G'day, you beautiful bastards, and welcome to 2C3 Pod's weekly YouTube review segment. My name is Mitchell, along with
Dylan.
And we are here for, what do we call that YouTube review segment there,
We
Dylan?
call this review segment Two's Company, Three's a Podcast, 2C3 Pod, DTCR does the cinema.
That's right, and along with that amazing title comes some amazing theme
Catchy
music.
theme music.
I know, I threw you off this
You
time,
did
that's
that
my
time.
bad. Yes, catchy theme music. We've got some.
Coming at you fresh, coming from afar, it's 2C3 Pod, DTCR.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for 2C3 Pod DTCR Does the Cinema. Now, we have a weekly film, TV, and gaming podcast. All links are down below, of course,
right.
where we review the films coming to theaters that weekend, and then we pick one to watch for this here very segment.
That's right.
Now, which film did we pick for this week's review, Dylan?
This week's choices were a little slim until we looked further into the options, and this week we chose the latest supernatural horror thriller film, The Empty Man.
Oh, spooky indeed. Now, this film, from the trailer, all of the signs, the poster, the trailer, everything points to supernatural entity haunts a small town and kills children.
That's right, yes.
I'm just going to say right off the bat, that is how it starts,
Yes,
but then it very much takes a left turn,
absolutely.
and this turns into, well, I don't think it's much of a spoiler, and I'm just going to say it. It turns into a cult film very, very quickly and separates from supernatural elements very quick.
That's right. So the film is based on a comic book published by Boom Studios of the same name, The Empty Man, and it goes along the same sort of taglines as, you know, the Boogeyman, the Candyman,
Yes.
Slender Man, you know, Christmas Man, Easter Man, Bunny Man, whatever. You say the name three times in a particular setting, and then he doesn't just show up, but he lingers for a while, and then eventually he catches up to you, etc. The opening of the film makes you believe that it's this supernatural entity from a long dead god or a particular type of entity that's existed on Earth, and they stumble upon it and release it.
Yeah.
And then later on, like towards maybe the last half of the film to the end, it takes a complete left turn, as you said, and it gives it almost a different mythology.
Yeah,
and I was a little confused,
absolutely.
like as to where it was really going. So I feel tempted though because of that to read the comics to really understand where this character comes from, because I like the idea and the opening scene. Ooh.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Ooh.
I was waiting to jump in there because, like you just said, that opening scene, it went on for a while, and I thought, okay, there isn't an opening scene to this film.
Yeah,
and then the opening title hit, and I was like,
20
wow.
minutes later,
that was a solid 20-minute opening, and it was fantastic. Had me hooked, drew me in. Beautiful. We're in for a supernatural ride, and that's how it seems, like you said, how it's going. And then it does take that left turn, and it kind of muddies the water a little bit
To Clichéville. A little bit.
Yeah, no, 100%. With a lot of the things you've seen, like you mentioned with Slender Man and the Boogeyman and Bunny Man. But yeah, no, the opening to this really did hook me in, and I was all right. Let's go for this journey. But I think, like you said, there must be more to this story to like really like unmuddy those waters and clear it up a little bit that they just didn't have time to tell, which is surprising because this isn't a big blockbuster. I mean, it is 20th Century Fox, but at the same time, it's not like it's stacked with an A-list cast and got a huge promotion and stuff like that. So it is still 2 hours and 15 minutes long. So it is a lengthy film, and it does use its time well. But I reckon maybe another half an hour. Maybe another half an hour.
Just to stretch things out that little bit more.
Just clear it up a little bit more, because it does dive really deep into the cultish vibes.
Yeah.
And I will say, okay, so the opening was brilliant. It did go along on the journey, and like you said, did get a bit muddy and did get a bit confusing. But I dug the fuck out of the ending.
See, this is where I sort of fall flat, because while watching this film, I can review 90% of the film, but towards the very end, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but I was already tired, and it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. I started to drift a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I remember seeing the very ending, the scene that happens there where the transferal process begins, without spoiling too much.
Yes.
Like, I really dug where that was going, but I think this movie deserves a second watch.
Yep.
All the things we've said so far about where the story and primarily the story begins to muddle and confuse itself. I think this is a film that is inherently good. It's well paced, I believe. Yeah. Like the some of the cinematic shots and the tension building and the dread that is sort of baked into this town because of this entity that exists, as cliche as it may be. I think the film does a great way to set all that up and really give you that uneasy, unsettling feeling.
Yes.
I just think that it might need to maybe one or two more watches to really understand exactly where they were going and what they were steering towards. But back to the opening scene for a moment.
Yes.
I went to this film having not watched the trailer.
No.
So I went to this after seeing the poster.
Yeah, we didn't see it for Trailer Park at all, so we both went into this completely blind, which is always fun.
So I was kind of hoping that, wow, this is a supernatural entity film set in the Alps or wherever and I was hoping the entire film, I knew it wasn't going to be because I saw an image of James Badge Dale's character elsewhere, so I knew it was going to take a turn somewhere.
I was going to say, where does the cop turn up here? And he didn't look like he had snow on him.
That's right, yeah. So I was kind of aiming for like a feature-length like entity in the snow that exists in this very lost particular like part of planet Earth. But no, it definitely diverts into like the modern day small town. There's an entity that's affecting the people, and they explain how this entity is drawn to these kids. And James Badge Dale does a great performance as the lead actor, being a retired cop with a sort of a wicked past, which is then revealed throughout the film. But it explains as to why he's on this journey to uncover what's going on and to save the people of this town from the Empty Man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's weird how the Empty Man goes from this supernatural entity that you see to what it ends up becoming almost. And it's just strange, that transition from telling that supernatural story to, okay, there's a lot of people involved in just this one story. So that was a little bit like, as in, okay, you know, I get it, but at the same time, clear it up a little bit
more explanation as to why this entire cult is hooked and knows about this entity that at the beginning of the film is very much hidden in the depths of like a snowy mountain somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So, but in saying that, as I said, we've talked a lot about how we didn't quite understand a lot of the plot points in the film, but overall it is an enjoyable time. I thought the film was quite wild in its interpretation.
No,
so
absolutely,
Boom Studios, Empty Man, I think you've done it. I think this is a good film.
No, absolutely. I think it was done very well as well, and I really did like the story of the Empty Man, but unfortunately the Empty Man becomes a backdrop almost towards the end, until there's a physical Empty Man, you could say, that kind of thing, like without trying to
the channeler essentially.
Exactly, a receiver or something like that, sends signals, you receive, like that
the
kind
router.
of thing. Did you see though the connection from that opening scene and then like later on, like all of that? No. I when that one clicked, I was like, oh, well played.
I was hoping they were going to steer it that way, because otherwise this doesn't make any sense. And then it did. I was like, okay.
Exactly, that's right. So I did enjoy that. I do think it's a fascinating story. I think, like you said, the graphic novels or the comic books or whatever you want to call them, I think they would be really good to watch, and there'll be a lot more meat on the bone there.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd be open to the idea of a sequel to this if it dives deeper into the history of it or something like that, and just to be able to explain it more.
I'm genuinely fascinated in this character that I didn't hear, that I didn't know about before. And I think, like, in our podcast that you can listen to on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and also back to YouTube. Sorry, I went straight past it.
I know.
Exactly. There's another like horror TV series that I've watched recently on Netflix, which does have cinematic releases, but it tells a shorter story over the span of 6 episodes.
Okay, right. So a shorter story over that time period, you can actually pull it apart.
That's right. And I think something like this would really benefit from that, because there seems to be so much rich lore to do with the Empty Man in itself. I think it would benefit from taking the time to stretch it over like the course of a season. Yeah,
no, absolutely. Not taking away from the film, but I think you're completely right. This story might have been better told over an 8-episode season. But at the same time, though, it is enjoyable, as we've already said. I'm going to give this one about 6.5, 7 out of 10.
Okay.
You know, like as in a passable grade. I had a good time. I didn't fall asleep like some people.
Sorry, my apologies.
That's personal life. That's not to do with the movie.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a straight up 7.
Okay,
and where it loses the 3 points for me is simply because of the cohesiveness of where the story began to where it ended up. I just got a bit lost in the middle there, but overall the performances were really good. What they were trying to portray this character actor was really good, and the cinematography was really, I think, was spot on as well. So everybody did a good performance. Overall, there was just a few points where I got a bit confused, but overall, The Empty Man is a good time. So if it's still in cinemas right now near you, and you're not sure what to watch, and you're in the mood for something spooky because Halloween's just passed,
that's right.
Check out The Empty Man.
Exactly. Written and directed by David Pryor, did a fantastic job. I'd agree with you. The reason I lost points as well was just because it was a bit muddy in the middle.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I enjoyed the opening scene. Was flawless. Absolutely flawless. Like that, I had no idea where that was going, but absolutely hooked you to the edge of your seat. And then I personally really dug the ending. I enjoyed where it ended up. I was satisfied with it. So at the end of the day, It's a good time.
It was a good time. Yeah.
It was a good time.
It's a good time. Anyway, thank you for everybody for watching this YouTube video. We really much appreciate that. As we said at the top of this video, links are all down below to our podcast that we stream once a week when we record it. So feel free to check us out over there on Facebook and twitch.tv/Dylan2C3pod as well. You can also find you on Twitch as well.
Mitchell2C3pod, simple as that. All links down below, as you already said. But don't forget social media, of course, Facebook and Instagram, 2C3pod, of course. But before you go, please slap a like on this video, ring that bell, subscribe, do all that jazz. It helps us out a lot. Thank you very much.
That's right. We are also supporting the cause for Movember this month. So you may have noticed our clean-shaven faces, not to bring attention to it.
Disgusting faces.
But links are down below if you'd like to make a donation to that as well. We would greatly appreciate that, and it's going to an amazing cause. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, scroll down a little further and give us a donation as well. But we'll see you in the next video. My name is Dylan, and as always with my co-host,
Mitchell. And do not forget, we are Two's Company, and
you are the podcast.